This mysterious lineup of Griffin who are shrouded in secrecy in some ways still about what they're all about, in spite of inviting fans in with some cool stuff on their Twitter. Definitely check them out in terms of some of the videos they've been creating. The Jace will be banned here. This is a four-way flex on the side of Griffin. I don't know if Lehens plays it. He might. Everyone else does on that team, so no jungle Jace, at least in game number 1. No bot lane Jace either, and Swords most played in the Kesper Cup, amusingly also Jace. Does mean a lot is left open. Kingzone considering what has been a pretty staple first pick with the Urgot.
Very standard in the Urgot being picked up here. Another champion that Pawn has been sort of playing with in the mid lane as well, so going to be that flex that we're used to, but Akali is the one that slips through Sword. You're going to lock that one away, and Lehens has so much engaged potential now with the Rakan picked up as well. Could be a Xayah to follow that up for Viper, but he has so many other options that he can head towards. What are Kingzone going to do? I feel like Ezreal Tahm Kench sounds like a good idea. Deft, one of the best Ezreals of all time. Tucson, one of the best Tahm Kenches.
Can I point out something Griffin didn't do? They did not take Sion at first pick on the red side here and just go with the Sion versus Urgot trade-up positive interaction. Summoner spells are baiting us into thinking it will be a top lane Akali, and maybe it'll be Akali versus Urgot, a matchup that previously was going very much the Urgot way. We saw this at Worlds, we saw this in the Kesper Cup.
Whoa.
Maybe it's going to be attempted by Sword to go for a more carry route. As pretty bold choice here. We're seeing a first-round Kai'Sa and maybe even a Kai'Sa-Gragas duo lane being locked in by Kingzone. Sion's still on the board, so will be lapped up anyway by the side of Griffin, but traditionally it's been a Chovy pick most recently.
Well, seen Viper's been playing it a little bit in solo queue. Not likely it heads towards the bottom side of the map, though, as Sword has already switched over to those giveaway Akali summoner spells that we've seen each time. So Sion locked in, still flexible, could theoretically go elsewhere. You can still change those summoner spells.
To Kingzone, look at solo queue trends and consider banning Vayne against Viper, because Vayne into Kai'Sa is a very possible matchup, and it's one that Viper has been innovating on. He is the first pro on record to go for the Halo Blades build, and speaking to him about it, he told me that completely of his own volition, wasn't anything inspired from another solo queue player, another pro. So potential we'll see some Halo Blades Vayne, that'd be a treat to see. Second ban from Kingzone, probably going to be bot lane focused as Griffin's second ban. They've banned away the Alistair so far from Tucson. He's best known for the engage, so removing engage tools from Tucson, pretty reliable way to remove some of the threat from the side of Kingzone's bottom lane.
Not going to be banning away the Tahm Kench though, so happy to have that one paired alongside Deft. So theoretically, I mean, it's them saying, well, we can have priority in that lane because you have to go defensive with this Tahm Kench choice, things like that. The reason I bring it up so much is because it was so pivotal in our last series, Xayah, to be banned away, an understandable ban when there's the obvious synergy of the Rakan, but Viper, of course, you know, so many other options down towards the bottom side of the map.
Well, show us an AD carry or show us a jungle is what we're looking for on this pick on the side of Griffin. Trend has been last pick jungle so far in the LCK. Anything different to that will lead to some fun flexes. The Vladimir could be a bot lane pick as well.
1 second to go.
Viper's Vladimir, I believe, is still career undefeated. Was definitely undefeated in the LCK until the grand final. I'll be able to check that as we roll forward. So another flex choice on the side of Griffin.
I think maybe it lost once in the final, but I'm not even sure. So just a ridiculous Vladimir
did
player.
lose in the final. In the World's Gauntlet, now that you mentioned, there was a loss to it. So was Korea undefeated to that point. Kingzone, trying to survey the madness. They're pretty sure Griffin's going to last pick a jungle, but you're never 100% sure.
The jungle Vladimir is the new sweet dark technology that
Jungle
Tarzan
Akali
has.
sounds pretty good. Jungle Rakan, baby. Think of the CC.
Jungle Akali. Oh, man.
Kingzone DragonX rounding out the draft, going for safe choices. SKT-inspired Lissandra Urgot duo of solo lanes. Support or jungle with this final pick, and it seems going to be the jungle. So it will be support Gragas, and Kai'Sa-Gragas will be the duo lane coming through from Kingzone.
So picking away the Sejuani from Tarzan there as well. So I think that's a little bit of cute mind games. Tarzan probably wanted to grab the Piggy Lady. That being said, he's been playing a heck of a lot of other things in solo queue at the moment. What does he try his hand at? And what is going to round this composition out? Because when you look at these comps that don't have the marksman, it's going to be an interesting choice, as the Xin Zhao is what's locked in.
Sejuani definitely gave a long leash when it came to picks. Tarzan could have gone straight into the aggressive or just gone for the tank versus tank beater in the Zac, for example. He goes somewhere towards the aggressive. He goes for the Xin Zhao. He wants to be there for some early priority in the lanes. That the final assignments here will not be the summoners mattering. That's why I mentioned that perhaps the teleporting knight was just a bait It's all a ruse from the side of Griffin as far as we can see.
Yeah.
We'll wait for the final matchups, though, at 20 seconds.
Exactly. 5 seconds to go before we understand exactly what is going to happen, but I have a feeling those summoner spells are giving it away just a little bit, so 20 ticks down, and the Scion will be on the top side. Kingzone already switching that one up as well. Lissandra going to be played on the top side of the map. Most of the time when we see these two solo lanes, it is with the Urgot top side this time. Not going to be the case. Akon and CV Max are going to shake hands and head back to these booths. It is certainly throwing a gauntlet, playing an awesome dude on the bottom side of the map instead of your regular AD carries. I wanted to see the Vayne, but the Vladimir has always been a treat in the hands of Viper. We've already seen it so far in the LCK, Rain Terror.
It does mean that at 2 items, you have huge agency, and the scaling of Vladimir will not be an issue either. However, you look at the side of Kingzone DragonX and you say, not the easiest to hit with a 5-man Hemo play. It's not immobile threats like the Victor and the Varus. It is people who can reposition pretty happily on the side of Kingzone, so the reliability of the Vlad might be called into question a little bit. I actually think the lane assignments are more kind to Griffin than perhaps they should have been, but we'll talk about that a bit more when we load into the game. And Tarzan with the last pick jungle that is now becoming the meta on patch 9.1. How will his Xin look first game in LoL Park?
You can see largest on your screen there, Pawn versus Chovy, the old versus the new. As we load up onto Summoner's Rift, see who can take it. That is something that would have been unheard of this time last year, especially considering the fact that no one even knew who Griffin was at that point in time. And now Kingzone getting barely any response from the fans, and Griffin being overwhelming. Just shows how far we've come here in 2019 already.
Monte Cristo called it best. Hype trains exist, and the Griffin hype train left the station with their long winning streak they went on in the summer season and their almost moments, and only got the tails only got taller with how well they were doing in scrims. Everyone talking about how Damwon and Griffin were taking scrims off of Fnatic and IG around the time of the World Final. The surprises are there, but Griffin now is a known quantity, and that's why, if you're a new fan, if you're looking for a new team, if Kingzone DragonX no longer holds your heart with so many big names leaving the organization, who's to say a lot of Kingzone fans didn't find themselves the grass being sweeter on the side, and greener also, I should say, on the side of Griffin.
Well, that's exactly right, and what better way to encapsulate that than have the fan screams not in favor of Kingzone anymore. Kaz going to be starting on the blue side this time. Gets a little bit of a hand here from Rascal.
Ooh, double barrel. Feels good at level 1 for Tucson. All right, so mismatched duo lanes, it feels like. Vladimir's about the furthest away from Xayah you can get for the Rakan to be laning with, and Kai'Sa Gragas. Kai'Sa Gragas was a big favorite of Team China at the Asian Games. You remember this was played by Uzi and Ming quite a lot. I'm not sure if Uzi and Mako played it, but Mako played a lot less games than Ming. Uzi and Ming loved this duo. A lot of Korean bot laners thought that the Gragas was unlaneable when it came to a laning support, but Ming showed everyone that it could still very much be run, and this Aftershock Gragas, the synergies with specifically the Kai'Sa repositions and post-level 6 makes it a very strong lane. Before level 6, it's a Vladimir, so maybe you're happy to farm it out. So I think Kai'Sa Gragas getting probably the safest, most free farm lane you're going to get when you lock in a pretty risky first-round duo lane for Kingzone DragonX.
Wow, we've already got a flash on the bottom side. Viper just gets destroyed! That is a level 2 advantage. I haven't seen capitalized like that for a very long time.
Who needs level 6? You got a level 2, baby. Vladimir can teleport back, but tail between the legs, and first advantage goes to Kingzone.
And this is the kind of question marks that we were wondering about with this Kingzone roster. Things like this can just happen. Both Tucson and Deft are both incredible in their role, but my God, can you wait a second? That was 2.5 minutes.
And they're going to use this priority to push as we're going to watch the replay here. Vladimir is sitting, we can count it, at 500 health. Flashes in, the WQ auto does so much damage. That's a level 2 advantage pop. And watch the coaching staff here. It's just a little fist bump. That's more expected than you might expect from Acorn. As,
did Acorn tell him to do that?
Did Tucson just die?
Yeah, he did. Oh. He did.
Man, that buzz kill was real fast.
I know. The Dragon's not even here yet. So
the Observer's just zooming in. It's like, yeah, sorry, guys.
Yeah. Can we get another replay on top of our replay?
Can we get a replay of the replay, then a replay?
Yeah, replay of, I want to see it again, and then again, and again. Chovy pushing in here in the mid lane. Pawn just trying to farm out these minions against the Akali. Feels like the top lane matchup has now moved to the mid lane, which is very confusing.
All right, give us that replay,
G-Sun.
She's calling for it now. Please give it to us. We want to see what happened. We saw the start of this invade, and let's watch the punishment on Tucson. Well, it's just Tarzan walking up, and turns out that Tucson was low. We know he used his flash, and he's just a dead fat boy.
He is a dead fat boy, indeed. Was waiting for that body slam. I mean, there's a chance that it could have got over that wall, but unfortunately, at level 2, not quite at the cooldown that you'd want.
He was trying to rep his fellow old boy in score. Scoring Tucson out 2 of the 10 players out of 80 that have actually played in Champions era before 2015 LCK rebrand. He's wearing the Hillbilly. The Hillbilly lost last series, so...
But not, well, I mean...
Indirectly.
In the end, he did, but he won at the time. So game 1, Hillbilly Gragas seems to be the right pick. See whether that means that they're going to follow the same trends as we move forward as Sword. Just punishing Rascal, man. It feels like Sion is a ranged champion sometimes.
It's actually a more punishing lane for Lissandra than you might imagine. You might say, okay, it's a ranged matchup, she can push, but when she goes for the push, she's going to be in decimating smash range more often than not. Yeah. So it's a Sion outscale matchup really quickly where you don't quite have kill pressure, but Halo Blade Xin that we saw plenty of already in the LCK can do the rest of the work there, and the Aftershock and the self-ult's not going to be enough. So this is actually a really nice scaling matchup for Sword on the top side, a bit like some of the Rumble matchups that we were alluding to in Series number 1.
And right now, it's feeling a little bit mismatched at the moment. I know it says 1-1 at the top of the screen, that gold is even, things like that, but we know what Def can do on hyper carries. It's what he's been known for his entire career, and he's winning by a very long way here on this bottom side. Doesn't have to contend with any sort of 80 carry battle because there's no 80 carry. On the other side of the map, Cuz going to be able to pick up the Rift Scuttler here on the bottom side. Tarzan unable to get in there and challenge.
I mean, Vladimir sucks pre-level 9. We've known that for the longest time, and the duo lane means the game time will be a bit later. Laning on Vladimir has always been really, really good, so it's definitely a surprise. Takes him off guard, but it's the first time we're seeing him have to deal with a significant disadvantage in the 2v2 laning phase. That means that Kai'Sa should have a pretty significant run of this lane.
Well, Tarzan, he wasn't actually out of that brush just then. Audaciously charges on Kuz, who's trying to get out of there. Does get the Arctic Assault, and thankfully Blast Cone still available, but now very low on health, not going to be able to gank anyone, and even these Krugs are going to be a big problem for this Pig Lady.
Yeah, Smite's not on cooldown. He would desperately prefer that to be up. Look at this. Oh,
you got to be careful. Wanted to be able to use that Winter's Wrath to take down that little Kruggy boy, but unable to do it.
Was awkward times for Cuz, so that's 2 little micro victories for the side of Griffin after the big victory of the level 1 First Blood onto Viper, performed by Deft. A lot of lane control here, and again, another illustration of the fact that Vladimir sucks pre-level 9. They can't even really approach the laning phase. He lost his flash in that level 1 play when he went down, so it's basically entire lane control for Kai'Sa Gragas, and that bodes very, very well for where the bread appears to be buttered on. It's Kingzone DragonX, it's Deft, and a lot of role players on paper. It seems like Deft's role for this team more often than not will be hyper carry. Good start to get that train rolling.
Exactly, and you look at this squad and you think that Deft and Tucson are the ones that have certainly the most propensity to play consistently and well. Has been something that Deft's been able to at least try and do even during the games that KT Rolster did lose, given their reputation.
And here's a glass half full point.
All right, let's
about the side of Kingzone DragonX coming out of Kesper Cup. It was 2 games of Tucson Tom Kench. It was not Gragas. It was not Engage. Engage Tucson with Deft has actually not been tested on Kingzone DragonX, and that is something you want left open because these are the sort of champs that Kingzone's bottom lane is expected to perform.
And also, watching out for what they can actually do as a combo as well is really beautiful to see. Tucson gets his barrel avoided, but that means that it was zoning the entire time. Ult traded for a pull. I'd probably take that if I was Griffin.
You can see the extended logic there. It's let's trade just before I hit level 6, and if he pulls before, we'll kill him.
Yeah.
As he comes out of that ult. Not able to do so there. Cuz with his hand in the cookie jar.
Yeah, look at that. Again, another fantastic rotation here from Griffin. You cannot test them like that because you will die. And that's already happened as Tucson fell earlier trying to contest for that blue buff. Once again, going to go down, and the prize for Griffin will be able to take away the Rift Scuttler. Another great trade for Sword here.
Yeah, they're looking really solid for Sword, who I think his reputation has continued to grow. Definitely I should say, not grown. Halfway through summer season, he was definitely looking like the 5th Beetle on this lineup.
Yeah.
I think he's actually stepped up. He had those amazing games. The KT series, for example, he was the MVP of Griffin in that LCK final they went on to lose. Just Urgot 1v4, steal a Baron and live and survive through all of it. Almost got them over the line. Sword played very well in Casper Cup as well. He's on the tanks, but he's played the carries mostly in Casper Cup, and we know he'll perform whichever side he chooses.
Yeah, that's why the Jace was banned, guys. You heard Def talking about the Jace versus Jace on the bottom side of the map. It was Sword's Jace that was looking extraordinary during the Casper Cup. So excited to see him play more of those damage rolls, less of the facilitative tanks, even though he is very, very good on those champions.
Griffin taking a bot side scuttle with bot lane basically being a free one for Kai'Sa Gragas is the only small positive. Otherwise, you just have to look at the CS lead and the fact that with that extra 20 CS, very smart laning choice here from Deft. He's not mainlining 2-item Kai'Sa Power Spike. He's going for the Executioner's Calling to make this Vladimir's life even worse.
Yeah, I really like it. Of course, builds into a mortal reminder, which 80 Kai'Sa is okay with going towards. Going to put behind his Rage Blade just a little bit after that Storm Razor, but I take it just for the lane control.
It's a much, much later story. Again, it's doubling down on, we have this winning lane, and it's going to take some shenanigans for it to stop.
Yes.
They're putting everything into keeping down Viper and Lehends, and I think that's a good call. From the side of Kingzone, their expected carries are the ones with the big lead, and then from there, do they have the solid macro around it? Because if you remember, actually, Deft and Tucson on that Ezreal in the games that were played by Kingzone got out of lane with Ezreal having solo first turret blood from getting advantages, but then their macro was the problem. They couldn't actually unleash 2-item Ezreal and find a lead with rotational play. This time it's a bit more of a brute force duo, and giving Griffin a Drake, not the ideal way to wield the power they have on bot side.
Exactly. In fact, they're not wielding it whatsoever. That barrel is probably the closest example at this particular point in time. The Claw is going to fly through and clear out the minions. Do a little bit of damage to the sword there, but Rascal's having a bit of a rough time, despite what the CS numbers will tell you.
I've seen this matchup many times in the top lane, Urgot versus Akali. It was attempted by Keen in Worlds, and we saw that Urgot could never be outscaled in that top lane split push. One of the reasons that they weren't able to win that game. Afrika Freaks, the mid lane's a lot more forgiving, so the farming phase should be longer. Maybe the sideline means less. Wait and see if Fed Akali can be paid as well as Fed Aurelia. Based on my solo queue games, people when Aurelia's banned seem to lock in Akali, so let's see if Chovy can rekindle what was some great assassin play in the Casper Cup final.
Well, we'll see where the Tarzan can actually just take down Rascal, and he can. That is the Halo Blades, ladies and gentlemen. Level 8. He's got a Warrior Enchant. You are dead, my friend.
Glacial Path's not enough of an escape there. Doesn't matter. I don't even know if he got the Aftershock proc. It didn't matter. Halo Blades, Warrior Enchant, a doubling of the kills, and soon to be a Rift Herald, it seems, on the top side. That means that Kingzone, against the run of play, have given up the bot side Drake, and with the run of play, Griffin have also got the Rift Herald top side.
Well, Cuz, you can see, I believe, didn't actually poke his head up. That was a visual bug, as Griffin now know that he's down here. They're actually going for the dive. Hemoplague onto 3 members, but Viper has the pull. He'll get so much health back from this pop, as well as the teleport comes in from Sword. Turns into a train, trying to turn this one around, but Rascal has joined in this battle. Meanwhile, Rift Herald goes down, and now Kingzone are in this awful position. 5 members now underneath this turret. They need to make this one work. They take the first kill. They will get the second. Sword, the next to go down. This is a dive I wasn't expecting. It's looking beautiful. Sword to be taken. It's Rascal with the double now. It's Chovy. Can he finish them all off? Gets the first one. The zombie sword is still here. Dives over. Gets the double kill. Will he have another Q? Not enough energy just yet. Has to flash to get out of the way. There's Deft there with very low health, has to be careful, but there's no charges left on the ult, and Chovy underneath the turret. Man, that was some crazy play on both sides.
Any more items on Chovy? There was a Gunblade here. There were going to be 4 kills being won by the Akali. You need to see what happened in the minimap. We'll get a replay of the action. You always want to see the kills, but in the minimap, Rift Herald was taken, gets a double charge, and Xinjiao gets a whole bundle of gold. Look at the gold lead from the jungle. It's 2,000 gold just in the jungle, Atlas. Again, you watch the map here and you see the dive eventually finds some kills. But in the meantime, Zinjao takes down the Rift Herald. He gets 2 turrets, focusing on the action. There were always eventually going to be kills here for Kingzone DragonX, but the 2 answering kills onto Chovy means that now Chovy has a whole lot of gold relative to his lane opponent, and the Zinjao needs no explanation. He's massively ahead of the Sejuani.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. I thought it was actually really nice how Kingzone managed to navigate this dive, but once Chovy made his way in, it was all about whether or not Kingzone could get out without losing too many members. Chovy having to flash towards the end there, of course, running out of energy, but still a great news story for Griffin based on what happened elsewhere on the map.
Exactly. They only committed 4 members to bot. 3 early, 1 much later for 2 cleanup kills. And if those 2 deaths went down and they got Rift Herald and a turret, you'd be like, okay, I guess the 2 deaths just supersede the Rift Herald and the turret, but when you add in the 2 kills they got later in the fight, it went from being not so good from Griffin to very categorically a Griffin win when you see the bigger picture.
Yeah. And you can see Chovy now being able to wield that lead to great effect. 700 gold bounty already at 14.5 minutes as this 2-0 Akali. They need to find a carry from somewhere. This is not get on the Viper hype train and stand behind an AD carry in the mid game. This is, we've got a Vladimir we can facilitate by amplifying your damage. I can launch my way into the backline and provide space for everybody else. There are so many different style of damage dealers on this squad, and Chovy's now in the greatest position to clean up so many kills.
And that's the scary thing, Atlas, is this bounty. Let's think of the bounties like the Wild West wanted signs. I don't think too many people are going to be ripping down this bounty and saying this is mine to claim, because he's basically got a farm bounty and a kill bounty. He's 46 CS. It's 176 CS in 15 minutes as Akali. Here's the engage.
Here's the engage. Yeah, we've got the quickness to start this one off as Deft has to use the ult defensively to try and get out. So far, no one's died just yet, but that is not going to happen for long as Pawn is going to be the first one to die. Chovy still chasing on through. Deft and Cuz limping away from this one. Cuz thinking about making his way back in, but nothing doing. Pawn does go down. Poor positioning there from him, but just no way to get himself out from that Lehens engage.
It's a new choice, by the way. We never spoke about this during the game, but it was seen by Knight in the LPL first series against IG. Fleet Footwork Akali, just for a bit more reliable laning trades. In mid lane, you see this much more than top lane, where Electrocute is usually the way forward. You go for Fleet Footwork, again, just for the sustain, and because movement speed always means damage for a champion who doesn't even need flash on the top side to be sticky and to always be able to escape and gap close as she needs.
Yeah, some of the same logic to be applied to something like the Kassadin. But let's have a look at this one once again.
Watching for the replay here, Lehens. Look at how that worked. If you watch that play, it's a Xin flash mid-battle dance for there to be more gap close and CC available. We didn't even notice that in real time. How do they make the Rakan look more maneuverable, Atlas? He's already super maneuverable.
I thought it was one flash because the sound was basically at the same time.
That was cool.
That was really, really cool.
Really cool to see. Again, not going to be a game-winning push from that, but remember that bounty, it's bigger onto Chovy, and that's not with any kills being registered by the Akali in the fight.
Yep. Going to be able to pick up that assist, though. The extra money is still there, and that CS lead is only growing. Confidence that we heard Deft talking about when it came to Pawn and his ability to still be one of the best in the mid lane. It's not being proven in this game so far. Being said, not a lot of it has a lot to do with him. First play from Deft and Tucson was fantastic to grab that first kill, but then immediately throwing it away. And Chovy now trying to navigate this 1 versus 2 situation, but Gunblade there. Okay, we got the cast to come in. First ultimate comes in from Chovy. He's still excited about finding more. Has to use the second charge defensively to get out of the way. Deft had stacked up that passive.
Really fun to watch the chicken there. When do you throw the cast? When can you guarantee that you will bump the Akali out of the Shroud? And when do you use the ult to escape? Chovy holding onto it till he knew that there was a flash order that might take him down. He's staying here, though. I believe Shroud back off. Cooldown. Trying to wave clear and extend the laning phase for Chovy.
Yep, gonna save this turret one more time as Tarzan comes down to do exactly the same. A little bit of a wraparound here as Lehens poking his head in. Viper still hanging around the area. Chovy wanting to try and ambush. Deft is such a juicy target. Over the wall he goes. Lehens doesn't find the first portion of this CC, but there's the Hemo Plague. And Deft already so incredibly low. No mana to speak of as Tarzan's trying to get in there. Viper over the side is the one to finish him off. The Urgot once again goes down as an afterthought, and Cuz will be the next one to fall. All the gap closes all the time, and Viper is now 3-2-0.
And oh, does the house of cards fall quickly when Deft is the one out of the fight oh so early. Nothing he can do. His whole health bar removed by Hemo Plague and friends. They didn't have anything left on the Akali, but it seems like all of the people backing up the Akali cash in on that pick. Nicely done by Griffin. They take the turret, and now the gold lead. It's already into silly season. It's already 6,000 gold.
6,000 gold. Not even 20 minutes just yet is just ludicrous.
Run, Rascal.
Yeah, you need to get out of here. Use the last of his mana to try and use that Chlorodoom, but Lehens is here. That is a very, very easy grand entrance and delivered over to the mid laner as Chovy says, no, Viper, this one's mine.
The new generation rises is my subtitle for LCK Spring. No surprises that Griffin are among that new generation. This fight's really interesting because remember, Chovy has all the gold, a lot of the lead, and doesn't really have any ability to impact this fight because his ult is on cooldown. He had to flash defensively earlier. Viper is able to clean up the first kill, a bit of catharsis, taking down Deft, who was out of the fight early. They chase in, they take Cuz, and after this, they even kill Rascal for staying on the top side. Everything coming apart for Kingzone. The expected result of this game took a little bit longer to enact than perhaps we might have expected, but looking at the last team fight, the numbers are pretty small on the side of Kingzone.
But gigantic on the side of Tarzan. What is that? The Hail of Blades. I mean, he's standing next to a very fed Akali and a Vladimir that's starting to do some work now, and he's got so many items.
I always think of Mulan when I see the Xin Zhao, and this guy never going to stop audaciously charging in.
Oh, hell no.
He has Sterix and a stopwatch. I have a Sterix ahead of schedule. You guys don't have your damage items yet. I'm going to keep going forward. And he knows he's got backup. One of the reasons that Griffin loved the Vladimir was the fact that very early in the game, you can just kind of press all your buttons at the enemy and impact a team fight before any traditional scaling builds need to come together. One item onwards. Vladimir can have a team fight impact and can dive with all of his friends. The dive buddies are there. The trust falls have been completed by Griffin. They definitely have some of the best communication we've ever seen. Speaking of trust falls.
Hands in possibly a little bit of trouble. Tucson has used the barrel quite nicely, but Tarzan going to grab that first kill. The double knock-up from Sword as he makes his way in. And this is the type of combination play that we expect from Griffin. It's just beautiful. Pond once again trying not to die. This time he'll be okay, but the rest of his team, not so much.
And this comes after that huge level 1 play, how quickly the tables are turned. Almost a 20-minute Baron, 21 minutes. Apologies to the timekeeper. Jump on the Baron, they're going to take it down, and Griffin ready to vindicate their position as runaway favorites for LCK Spring 2019.
And Viper continuing to make Vladimir look like the best bottom lane champion in the game. Not sure how you go from dying to first blood and then not having a flash for the whole laning phase, going down half the CS of a Kai'Sa, and then walking away feeling fantastic. 800 gold bounty, you know, 3, 2, and 4. Proto belt already there. This is a very scary Griffin. 3.5 minutes of Baron buff remaining for them.
Kingzone, DragonX finding Griffin in full flight. Again, a bit of an aborted takeoff at the start, but since then, things have come back to expected situation. If you look at Griffin on the 2019 patch, they will go 9-0 after being 8-0 on patch 824, which still is that 2019 patch. Watching the replay here, again, the start is fine from the side of Kingzone until they notice that Deft is the one taken down in the middle of the fight. There's no backup for Deft, and then the rest of Griffin join late just to be front row to 4 kills and a Baron for Griffin.
And also, Tucson knocked away Lehens with his ultimate and knocked Sword on top of Deft, which is definitely not the ideal scenario in that particular fight. Missed that during the action because it was so many bodies on top of one another, and Deft died within half a second, which is what the old Halo Blades in.
Who do you bounce towards Deft? The answer is probably no one, right?
Please
Everyone
bounce
on Griffin
them away from Deft.
But that's the problem, right? Is that the Gragas kind of needs to be an initiator here. If you're only going to use that ult defensively, it has to be after, I guess, a Lissandra Sejuani permastun on someone.
I guess.
If Every looks aggressive, he's helping them into the fight. There's no AD carry to bounce into range here. Everyone on Griffin uses it a gap closer. What are you laughing about, Atlas?
Tarzan, I think, had almost the most gold in the game. I mean, Chovy's got 1,000 gold bounty. It's likely he's got the most, but it was only by a small margin. Both of them sitting on about 10,000 at this stage.
At least Tucson can say that his opponent doesn't have a bounty. You know? The micro wins against Griffin are important.
Hey, that's true. That's true. Tusin's going to go back home and say, guys, I played flawless. Everything was great. Just don't look at that last cask or the ones thrown into the pools. You don't drop the cask into the pool, guys. That is bad news, as Tarzan going to get Pawn out of the way. Disdain is going to get him to relative safety, but is under a turret next to Chovy's safety. Pawn decides to answer with no. They are going to take that one down. Baron buff still ticking. And this went from looking like a very exciting game with Kingzone starting things so beautifully with that 2v2 kill against Viper to that being a bit of an afterthought. And it turning into the game that most people were expecting is we're going to continue at 3-man knock-up from Lehans as Tarzan going to once again kill Deft. Rascal now in trouble, has to self-ult as Viper just wanders past him. Now decides that he might kill him as Cuz is being taken care of by the rest of his team. Chovy going to secure that kill, and now they're looking to break open the base.
The gold lead is in Silly Stations. We should play the Yakety Sax 15,000 gold lead. Going to be cemented with this turret going down. Griffin are on a different level to the other members of the LCK as far as we've seen. 2-0 over Freaka, 3-0 over Damwon, 3-0 over Gen G so far on the 2019 patch, looking to make quick work of Kingzone.
Yep, this Death Note once again happening. As you can see, Lehans once again bouncing around. It's another kill going over to Tarzan. This guy seems like he can do absolutely no wrong when it comes to Korean League of Legends at this stage. Tusin trying to make a play, but all he's going to do is die as the Nexus turrets fall. The Nexus soon to follow, and Griffin, their first game in the LCK for 2019 is no surprise for anyone following them, and an absolute joy to watch if you're already a Griffin fan.
Masterful performance from Griffin, and yet, do we learn anything new? Does any team watching on, would their analysts learn anything new to find a way to thwart them? Maybe too bold at level 1. That was very well done by Deft and Tusin to shut down Viper. But by that time, the replay was half done. While we were still watching the replay of Kingzone's best moment, Tusin had already died, and the game never came back from the side of KT. The lead was a micro one. The victory was assured performance from Griffin. Fantastic stuff from them, and we could have an early night, Atlas, and we could be saying that every time Griffin plays in our second match.
It could be, but I don't want to count the chickens just yet. Our first series taught us that 2-1s can certainly come out of nowhere. KT made the game one look so clean. Can Griffin show us that, no, that sort of hope does not exist? Because that's what they've shown us so far in so many of their series. The 2 best-of-5s before this, and then even the best-of-3 before that against the Afrika Freaks, who have a fantastic-looking lineup, was convincing to say the least. And that game continues the trend like you wouldn't believe. We dared to dream at that level 1 battle on the bottom side of the map, and that was the only good news story that we had for that series for Kingzone.
And you see the justification for the hype team, the reason that micro victories, can you win a lane against Griffin, might be a relevant stat. People are not talking facetiously about taking a victory off this team. We've never had an 18-0 team, but if you're judging it based on game number 1, there's definitely a team right now that's going to be aspiring for only greatness and not dropping even single best-of-1s.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous, and that synergy that we were talking about as well demonstrated to full effect. The fact that they were able to get the Vladimir through a lane that was
scary,
horrible.
It's scary.
Oh, man, you'd think that the snowball was ripe. It was ready to go when you've got a Kai'Sa with so much control, but that is just not how it works when you're playing against Griffin. It's just a different beast. And Tarzan just seems to be able to take control of anything in the jungle.